My beloved child, stop scrolling for just a moment. Do not let your eyes wander to the next distraction. Do not tell yourself you will come back later. This moment is too important to postpone. Before this day began, before the sun rose over your life, before you even reached this very second, I had already prepared this encounter. You may think you found these words by chance, but I tell you the truth, you did not find this message. I guided you here. There have been many days when you wondered if I still heard your prayers. You questioned why heaven seemed quiet while your heart was crying out for answers. You searched for signs, hoping for clarity, longing for just one unmistakable reminder that I was still walking beside you. My child, I heard every whisper. I counted every tear. I never turned away from your pain, even when you believed you were facing it alone. Listen carefully now, because what I am about to reveal is not another passing encouragement. This is not an ordinary message that will fade from your memory tomorrow. This is a divine appointment, lovingly arranged long before you took your first breath. Before the world knew your name, I knew every step you would take. Before you faced your first disappointment, I had already prepared the grace that would sustain you. Before your greatest battles appeared, I had already written hope into your future. Do not let fear convince you that you arrived here by accident. Nothing about this moment is random. Every delay, every unexpected turn, every closed door, every unanswered question has been leading you to this very place. Even the seasons that felt empty were quietly shaping your heart to receive what I am about to speak. I know how tired you have become. I know there were moments when you smiled for others while silently carrying burdens no one could see. I know how often you wondered whether your waiting had any purpose at all. More than once you nearly gave up, not because you stopped believing in me, but because you were exhausted from believing without seeing. Yet through every difficult season, my hand remained upon your life, protecting you in ways you could not recognize and preparing blessings you were not yet ready to hold. So stay with me now. Quiet your thoughts. Set aside your doubts for just a little while. Open your heart wider than you have before, because heaven has been waiting for this exact moment. What I am about to tell you will change the way you see your past, transform the way you understand your present, and fill your future with a hope that fear can no longer steal. This moment was not created yesterday. It was prepared before you were born, and today, at last, your heart is ready to receive it. My beloved child, before you take another step, I need you to know something your heart has struggled to believe for far too long. I never stopped watching over you. Not for a single moment, not for a single day, not even during the seasons when my silence made you wonder if I had turned away. While you questioned my presence, my eyes never left you. While you searched the darkness for a sign, my hand remained stretched over your life, protecting you in ways you could not see. I saw the nights when sleep refused to come because your mind would not stop racing. I watched you replay conversations, disappointments, and unanswered prayers until your heart became weary. I heard the questions you were too afraid to speak aloud. Lord, where are you? Do you still see me? Have you forgotten about me? My beloved, I heard every one of them. Even when your lips remained silent, your heart spoke to me, and I listened with compassion. I saw you carrying burdens that no one else knew existed. People admired your strength without realizing how much effort it took simply to keep smiling. They praised your resilience without seeing the tears you wiped away before anyone entered the room. They believed you were doing well because you learned how to hide your pain behind kind words and quiet endurance. But I saw beyond every mask. I saw the weight pressing against your soul, and I stayed beside you through every moment of it. Do you remember the days when everything seemed to fall apart at once? The plans that collapsed without warning, the relationships that changed, the opportunities that disappeared just when you thought they were within reach. You wondered if your life had lost its direction. You questioned whether all your prayers had been in vain. Yet even then, I was guiding your steps with a wisdom far greater than what you could understand. What appeared to be chaos was often my protection. What felt like loss was often my redirection. There were moments when you stood at a crossroads, uncertain which path to take. You thought your decisions alone determined the outcome, but my spirit was gently whispering to your heart. Sometimes I gave you peace to move forward. Sometimes I gave you unrest to keep you from walking into places that would have wounded you more deeply. Even when you ignored my whisper, I continued to pursue you with mercy instead of condemnation. My child, there are countless dangers you never knew existed because I stood between you and what could have harmed you. There were conversations that never happened because I closed the door before they could begin. There were disappointments that seemed painful in the moment but spared you from far greater sorrow ahead. There were delays that frustrated you because you could not see what I was shielding you from. If only your eyes could see the countless times my angels surrounded you, the unseen battles fought on your behalf, and the storms I quieted before they ever reached your life. Your heart would overflow with gratitude instead of fear. I watched over your family when you could not. I strengthened you on mornings when you felt too exhausted to rise. I gave you courage on days when you believed you had none left. Every breath you took, every step you managed to make, every moment you chose to keep going even when hope felt distant, I was there, quietly sustaining you with my grace. And there is something else I need you to understand. I was not watching you as a distant observer. I was watching you as a loving father whose heart is deeply moved by his child. Every tear you cried touched my heart. Every disappointment you carried mattered to me. Every silent prayer reached my ears. I never measured your worth by your success, your failures, or your ability to appear strong. I have always seen the person I created you to become, even when you could only see your weaknesses. So stop believing the lie that you have walked this journey alone. Stop telling yourself that heaven has been silent because heaven has never stopped working. Even in the moments when you felt forgotten, I was carefully writing a story far greater than the one you could see. I have been watching over you from the very beginning, and I will continue to watch over you until every promise I have spoken over your life is fulfilled. Now, my beloved child, stay close, because what I am about to reveal next will help you understand why. My timing has never failed you, even when it seemed painfully slow. My beloved child, I know there were moments when you believed. My silence meant I was absent. You looked toward heaven, waiting for an answer that seemed delayed, and your heart quietly asked, Lord, why are you not speaking? Why have you not changed my situation? Why does it feel as though everyone else is moving forward while I remain here? I heard every one of those questions. I was never offended by them, because I knew they came from a heart longing to understand, not from a heart that wanted to leave me. Listen closely now, because I want to replace your confusion with truth. I did not remain silent because I did not care. I did not delay because I had forgotten your name. I did not withhold my answer because your prayers were unworthy. My child, I waited because I could see what you could not. While you were looking at today's pain, I was looking at tomorrow's purpose. While you were asking me to remove the struggle, I was preparing you to carry the blessing that would follow. You measure time by days, weeks, and years. You count every delay, every unanswered prayer, and every closed door. But I measure time by readiness. I look at what your heart is becoming. I see the strength growing beneath your weakness, the wisdom being formed through your waiting, and the faith taking root beneath the surface, where no one else can see it. There were prayers I could have answered immediately, but an immediate answer would have given you temporary relief instead of lasting transformation. There were doors I could have opened sooner, but walking through them too early would have placed you in battles you were not yet prepared to face. There were blessings you desperately desired, but if I had placed them into your hands before your character was ready, those very blessings might have become burdens. Do you remember the things you once begged me for that no longer matter today? There were opportunities you believed would change your life forever, yet now you can see they would have led you away from the path I designed for you. There were people you pleaded with me to keep in your life, yet their departure created space for healing you never knew you needed. At the time, you saw only heartbreak. I saw protection. You saw rejection. I saw redirection. You saw delay. I saw perfect timing unfolding one step at a time. My beloved, never mistake my patience for indifference. I am never late. I am never distracted. I have never overlooked a single detail of your journey. Every pause has carried purpose. Every season of waiting has been building something deeper inside you than circumstances alone could ever create. While you waited, I was teaching you to trust me beyond what your eyes could see. While you waited, I was loosening your grip on fear and strengthening your dependence upon my promises. While you waited, I was healing wounds hidden so deeply that even you did not realize they were still shaping your decisions. If I had answered your prayer before healing your heart, you might have carried old pain into a new season and repeated the same struggles in a different place. I also need you to understand something that may surprise you. There were times when my greatest answer to your prayer was not saying yes, it was saying wait. Because wait gave me room to work in ways that yes never could. Wait protected relationships that still needed healing. Wait prevented choices that would have brought unnecessary sorrow. Wait aligned people, places, and moments that had not yet come together. What felt like an empty season was actually filled with my unseen activity. Never believe that nothing is happening simply because nothing is visible. The seed beneath the soil appears lifeless before it breaks through the ground. The dawn begins long before the first ray of sunlight reaches the horizon. In the same way, my work often begins where your eyes cannot follow. Long before you see the answer, I have already set it into motion. So do not grieve the seasons that made you wait. They were never wasted. Every day of waiting was another day of preparation. Every unanswered prayer was another invitation to trust my heart more deeply than your own understanding. And now, my beloved child, because you have continued to seek me even through uncertainty, you are closer than ever to seeing why I asked you to wait. What once looked like silence will soon become one of the greatest testimonies of my faithfulness in your life. My beloved child, I know there are still doors in your memory that ache when you think about them. There are opportunities you wish had not slipped away, relationships you hoped would have lasted, dreams you believed would surely come to pass. Even now, part of your heart still wonders what your life would look like if only those doors had remained open. But today I want you to see them through my eyes instead of your own. Every closed door carried a purpose far greater than your disappointment. What felt like rejection was often my rescue. What appeared to be a loss was frequently my protection. You stood before doors asking me to let you enter, while I stood on the other side seeing dangers you could not possibly recognize. Because I love you too deeply to leave your future to chance, I closed what would have wounded you and preserved what would one day bless you. There were places you longed to go where your peace would have slowly disappeared. There were opportunities that looked promising on the surface but hid burdens your spirit was never meant to carry. There were people who spoke beautiful words but carried intentions that would have broken your trust and weakened your faith. You saw what looked good for the moment. I saw what would shape the rest of your life. Do not confuse an attractive opportunity with my perfect will. Not every open door comes from me, and not every closed door is a punishment. Sometimes, my greatest act of love is preventing you from receiving exactly what you asked for. I know that truth is difficult to accept while your heart is grieving, but one day you will look back and realize that the prayers I did not answer protected you just as much as the ones I fulfilled. Think about the moments when your plans suddenly changed without warning. At the time, frustration filled your heart. You wondered why everything seemed to fall apart just as progress appeared within reach. Yet months later, or perhaps years later, you began to understand that had everything unfolded according to your plans, you would have missed something far greater that I had prepared. My child, this has happened more often than you realize. I have quietly redirected your steps countless times. I have interrupted your schedule to preserve your destiny. I have allowed delays that kept you from walking into situations that would have stolen your joy. While you mourned the closing of one chapter, I was already writing another that would reveal more of my goodness than you could imagine. There were relationships you desperately fought to keep alive. You believed they were essential to your future, but I knew they belonged only to a season. If I had allowed them to remain, they would have distracted you from becoming the person I created you to be. Their departure felt like heartbreak, but it also created space for healing, wisdom, and deeper dependence upon me. What you called abandonment was often my invitation to draw closer to my heart. There were dreams you held so tightly that you feared losing them. Yet I gently loosened your grip because your hands were too full to receive something better. Sometimes I remove what is merely good, so that you will not settle for less than my best. My plans have never been built upon taking from you without purpose. Everything I remove makes room for something that carries greater peace, greater fruit, and greater eternal value. My beloved, If only you could see the countless unseen battles that have taken place around your life. There were traps disguised as opportunities. There were voices disguised as wisdom. There were paths that seemed right but ended in sorrow. I quietly blocked them before they reached you. I placed obstacles in front of dangers you never recognized. You called those obstacles disappointments, but heaven called them deliverance. Even now, there are prayers you still wish I had answered differently. I understand that longing, and I am not asking you to ignore your pain. I am asking you to trust my perspective above your own. My vision stretches far beyond this present moment. I do not see only today's tears. I see tomorrow's testimony. I do not see only what you are losing. I see who you are becoming. So release your grip on every door that I have closed. Stop standing outside yesterday's entrance while I am preparing tomorrow's pathway. Lift your eyes from what is behind you and begin to look toward what I am opening before you. For every door I have closed in my wisdom, I have already prepared another that no fear, no failure, no person, and no power of darkness will ever be able to shut. And when that door opens, you will finally understand that my no was never the end of your story. It was the beginning of something infinitely better. My beloved child, I know there are wounds you still do not understand. There are memories that continue to stir your heart, questions that remain unanswered, and moments you wish had never become part of your story. If you could rewrite certain chapters of your life, you would do it without hesitation. You would remove the heartbreak, erase the disappointments, and skip the seasons that left you exhausted. But before you ask me to erase your pain, I want you to understand something that can transform the way you see your entire journey. Your pain was never wasted. Not one tear that fell from your eyes was meaningless. Not one lonely night passed unnoticed. Not one disappointment escaped my attention. Every experience that seemed to break you was quietly shaping you into the person I created you to become. While you focused on the pain you could feel, I was accomplishing a work within you that your eyes could not yet see. You often pray for greater faith, but faith grows strongest when it learns to trust me without having every answer. You ask for wisdom, yet wisdom is often born through seasons that challenge your understanding. You long for peace, but lasting peace is not found in a life without storms. It is found in discovering that I remain faithful in the middle of every storm. The hardships you endured were never meant to define your identity. They were meant to refine your character. Just as gold is purified by fire, your heart has been strengthened through experiences you once believed would destroy you. What the enemy intended to use as a weapon against you, I have been transforming into a testimony of my grace. Think about the compassion you now have for others who are hurting. Before your own struggles, there were pains you could not fully understand. Now your heart responds with kindness instead of judgment. You listen more carefully. You love more deeply. You recognize hidden battles because you have fought your own. The pain you wish to avoid has made you a source of comfort for someone else who is searching for hope. Even your disappointments have taught you lessons that success alone never could. They taught you humility when pride quietly tried to grow. They taught you patience when everything inside you wanted immediate answers. They taught you discernment, helping you recognize the difference between what is merely attractive and what is truly good. Most importantly, they taught you to depend upon me instead of placing your confidence in things that can disappear overnight. I know there were moments when you believed you were falling apart. But my child, there is a difference between falling apart and being rebuilt. Sometimes I allow old foundations to crumble because they cannot support the future I have prepared for you. Before I build something stronger, I must first remove what is unstable. That process can feel painful, but it is always driven by my love, never by my desire to harm you. Do not be ashamed of the scars you carry. They are not signs that I abandoned you. They are evidence that I walked with you through battles that could not defeat you. Every scar tells a story of my sustaining grace. Every healed wound reminds you that pain does not have the final word. I do. One day you will look back on this season with different eyes. You will no longer ask, why did this happen to me? Instead, you will say, now I understand what God was producing within me. You will see how every delay strengthened your faith, how every loss redirected your path, and how every trial drew you closer to my heart than comfort ever could have. So do not despise the journey that shaped you. Do not measure your life only by what you have lost. Measure it also by who you have become. You are stronger than you once were. You are wiser than you realize. You are more compassionate, more resilient, and more deeply rooted in my love than you have ever been before. And now, my beloved child, because your heart has been refined through every season of waiting and every moment of pain, you are ready to understand a truth that the enemy has tried to hide from you from the very beginning. He did not attack you because you were weak. He attacked you because he feared the person you were becoming. My beloved friend, if these words have spoken directly to your heart, perhaps this is not just another video you happen to watch. Perhaps this is the confirmation you have been praying for. If you truly believe that God has been preparing you even through the waiting, the setbacks, and the closed doors, take a moment to declare your faith. Type these words in the comments. Lord, I trust your perfect timing. Let that declaration be more than a sentence. Let it become a prayer of surrender and confidence that God is still working, even when you cannot yet see the outcome. If this message is encouraging your spirit, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may be questioning God's timing today. Your simple act of sharing could become the very answer to another person's prayer. Now, stay with me, because what God is about to reveal next may completely change the way you understand every battle you have ever faced. My beloved child, there is a truth I need you to understand, because it will change the way you look at every battle you have ever faced. For too long, you have believed that the struggles surrounding your life were proof that something was wrong with you. You questioned your worth. You wondered if you had failed me. At times, you even feared that I had withdrawn my favor from your life. But hear me carefully. The enemy did not keep attacking you because you were forgotten. He kept attacking you because of who you are becoming. Long before you recognized the purpose I placed within you, the enemy recognized that your life carried eternal significance. He saw seeds of faith before they fully grew. He saw compassion that would one day heal wounded hearts. He saw courage that would inspire others to keep believing when everything around them said to give up. He saw gifts that would bring light into places where darkness had ruled for far too long. That is why so many battles seemed to begin before you even understood why they were happening. Have you ever wondered why discouragement seemed to visit you so often? Why fear whispered so loudly just as you were about to take a step of faith? Why doubt tried to convince you that you were incapable, unworthy, or destined to remain where you were? These were not random thoughts passing through your mind. They were attempts to keep you from becoming the person I created you to be. The enemy understands something that many of my children forget. He knows that one life completely surrendered to me can influence countless others. He knows that one faithful heart can become a testimony that strengthens an entire family. He knows that one person walking in my purpose can bring hope where despair once ruled. So before you could fully discover your calling, he tried to bury it beneath fear, disappointment, shame, and exhaustion. Yet even in those moments, I never surrendered your future to the plans of darkness. Every attack that was meant to weaken your faith became another opportunity for my grace to strengthen it. Every lie that tried to define your identity gave me another chance to remind you who you truly are. Every setback that seemed to delay your progress was quietly building endurance that success alone could never produce. Do not misunderstand me, my child. I never desired your suffering, nor did I delight in watching you struggle. My heart has always been moved by your pain, but because I am sovereign, I have the power to transform what was intended for evil into something that serves my perfect purpose. The enemy may begin a battle, but he does not write the ending. I do. Think about how much you have grown through seasons you once begged me to remove. You pray differently now than you did years ago. You listen more carefully to my voice. You depend less on your own strength and more on my promises. Your faith is no longer built only upon what you can see. It has been anchored in who I am. That transformation did not happen overnight. It was forged through perseverance, through trust, and through my faithful presence in every difficult season. There were days when you believed you had nothing left to give, yet somehow you found the strength to keep moving. That strength was not born from your own determination alone. It was my spirit quietly sustaining you. When you thought you were holding on to me by a thread, it was actually my hand holding you securely all along. Never allow the intensity of the battle to convince you that defeat is your destiny. Often the fiercest opposition comes just before a significant breakthrough. Darkness resists the rising of light because it cannot overcome it. In the same way, the resistance you have experienced is not evidence that my plans are failing. It is often evidence that you are drawing closer to the very purpose the enemy hoped you would abandon. So stop measuring your future by your present struggles. Stop allowing yesterday's disappointments to define tomorrow's possibilities. Lift your eyes beyond the battle and fix them upon my promises. I have not called you to live in fear of what the enemy may do. I have called you to walk confidently in what I have already declared over your life. My beloved child, you are not becoming the person your pain predicted. You are becoming the person my love has been shaping from the very beginning, and every battle you survived has only prepared you for the greater purpose that now lies ahead. My beloved child, I know there are still days when you look at yourself and see only your weaknesses. You remember the mistakes you have made, the prayers that are still waiting for answers, and the moments when fear seemed louder than your faith. You compare yourself to others and quietly wonder why they appear stronger, happier, or further ahead. But today I need you to stop looking at yourself through the lens of disappointment and begin seeing yourself through my eyes. You are stronger than you realize, not because you have never struggled, but because you are still standing after everything that tried to make you fall. Think about where you were a year ago. Think about the burdens you carried, the uncertainty you faced, and the tears you believed would never stop falling. There were moments when you were convinced you could not take another step. Yet, here you are. You may not feel victorious every day, but you are still moving forward. That is not an accident. That is evidence of my grace working within you. Strength is not the absence of weakness. True strength is choosing to trust me while your heart is still healing. It is continuing to pray when the answer has not yet arrived. It is refusing to surrender hope when everything around you seems uncertain. Every time you chose faith instead of despair, even if your faith felt no larger than a mustard seed, you became stronger than before. I have watched your faith mature in ways you have not yet recognized. There was a time when every obstacle filled you with panic. Now, although you still feel fear, you bring it to me in prayer. There was a time when disappointment caused you to question my goodness. Now, even through tears, you continue to believe that my plans are better than your own. You may think these changes are small, but heaven celebrates every step of spiritual growth. My child, do not underestimate what I have been building inside you. Patience has replaced impulsiveness. Wisdom has begun to silence confusion. Discernment now helps you recognize voices that once would have led you astray. Compassion has grown where bitterness once tried to take root. These changes are not always visible to the world, but they are precious in my sight because they reflect the work of my Spirit within you. You have survived storms that once would have overwhelmed you. You have walked through valleys that seemed impossible to cross. Each challenge has increased your capacity to trust me. Like a tree whose roots grow deeper during seasons of drought, your soul has been reaching further into my promises. Others may only notice the branches they can see, but I rejoice over the roots that have grown in secret. Do not believe the lie that because you still have questions, you have little faith. Even those who walk closely with me ask questions. Faith is not pretending to understand everything. Faith is believing that I remain faithful even when everything has not yet been explained. Your questions have never pushed me away. They have become opportunities for you to know my heart more deeply. There is also something beautiful that you often overlook. The battles that once controlled your thoughts no longer hold the same power over you. The wounds that once defined your identity are gradually losing their voice. The fears that once stopped you from moving are beginning to loosen their grip. This is not because you became stronger on your own. It is because my truth has been replacing the lies you carried for so long. So stop speaking over your life as though you are still the person who first entered this wilderness. You are not the same. You have grown through every prayer, every disappointment, every act of obedience, and every season of waiting. The person who once believed they could never survive has become someone who now carries hope into places of despair. The one who once felt constantly defeated is becoming a living testimony of my sustaining grace. Lift your head, my beloved child. Do not measure yourself by how far you still have to go. Measure yourself by how far I have already brought you. I have been transforming you day by day, even when the changes were too quiet for you to notice. And now, because your heart has been strengthened and your faith has been refined, you are ready to take the next step I have been preparing for you from the very beginning. My beloved child, you have come farther than you realize. You have walked through valleys you never imagined you could survive. You have endured seasons that tested every part of your heart. Now I am asking you for something that may seem small, yet it carries the power to change the direction of your life. Take your next step of faith. Do not wait until every question has been answered. Do not wait until every fear disappears. Do not wait until the entire path is visible before you choose to move. If you wait until everything makes sense, you will remain standing at the edge of the blessing I have already prepared for you. Faith has never been about seeing the whole journey. Faith has always been about trusting the one who leads it. Remember how I have carried you this far. There were moments when you did not know how you would survive, yet you did. There were days when you believed hope had disappeared forever, yet I quietly placed new strength inside your heart. If I have been faithful through every chapter behind you, why would I abandon you in the chapter that lies ahead? My child, the enemy wants you to believe that your past has already determined your future. He whispers that because you have failed before, you will fail again. He reminds you of every disappointment, every rejection, every delay, hoping you will build tomorrow upon yesterday's pain. But those whispers are not my voice. I do not call you according to your failures. I call you according to your purpose. Your future is not being written by your mistakes. It is being shaped by my promises. That is why I ask you to release the fear that has kept your heart standing still. Fear will always demand certainty before obedience. Faith chooses obedience before certainty. Fear says, protect yourself. Faith says, trust me. Fear says, what if everything goes wrong? Faith answers, what if God is already making everything work together for good? There is a door before you that cannot be opened by worry. There is a season ahead that cannot be entered through doubt. It requires one simple decision, to trust me one more time. Perhaps your next step is forgiving someone you have carried in your heart for too long. Perhaps it is praying again after months of disappointment. Perhaps it is believing that your best days are not behind you. Perhaps it is letting go of the dream that no longer fits the future I have prepared, so your hands are free to receive something greater. Do not despise small acts of obedience. The greatest miracles often begin with what seems like the smallest step. One prayer can change a heart. One act of forgiveness can restore peace. One decision to trust me can redirect an entire lifetime. You may think your next step is insignificant, but heaven sees it as the beginning of a new chapter. I have never asked you to carry tomorrow's burdens today. I have only asked you to walk with me one step at a time. As you obey, I will provide the strength for the next step. As you continue walking, I will reveal what you cannot yet see. You do not need enough light for the entire journey. You only need enough light for the step directly before you. My beloved child, do not remain where fear has become familiar simply because it feels safe. I did not create you to live imprisoned by old disappointments. I created you to move forward with confidence, knowing that my presence goes before you. The wilderness was never meant to become your permanent home. It was always a passage leading you toward my promises. So today, choose faith over fear. Choose hope over discouragement. Choose my voice over every lie that has tried to define you. Your next step may seem small in your eyes, but in my hands it becomes the beginning of a story that will one day inspire others to believe that I am faithful, that I keep my promises, and that those who trust in me are never put to shame. My beloved child, I know there have been days when the finish line seemed impossibly far away. You prayed, you trusted, you waited, and yet it appeared as though nothing around you was changing. The same struggles remained. The same questions lingered. The same prayers seemed to rise toward heaven without an answer you could recognize. It would have been easy to believe that your breakthrough was still a distant dream. But I tell you today with complete certainty, the moment you have been waiting for is closer than you think. Do not let what you see today convince you that I am not already moving. Some of my greatest works begin long before they become visible. Just as the first light of dawn appears while the world is still covered in darkness, My promises often begin unfolding before your eyes are able to recognize them. Think of a seed buried beneath the soil. For a season, it appears as though nothing is happening. The ground looks unchanged. The silence seems endless. Yet beneath the surface, life is already growing. Roots are reaching deeper. Strength is developing where no one can see. When the appointed time arrives, what was hidden suddenly breaks through the ground, and everyone notices the growth that had been taking place all along. My child, your life is much the same. What you call waiting, I often call growing. What you call silence, I often call preparation. What you call delay, I often call alignment. There are people I am positioning. There are opportunities I am arranging. There are doors I am preparing to open at exactly the right moment. If I revealed everything now, you might rush ahead of my timing and miss the fullness of what I have planned. That is why I ask you to continue trusting my heart, even when you cannot yet trace my hand. Do not lose hope because your prayers have taken longer than you expected. Every day you remain faithful is another testimony that your confidence is rooted in me rather than in circumstances. Heaven has not forgotten your name. I have not overlooked your tears. Every prayer you have whispered has been heard, and every promise I have spoken remains alive. Lift your eyes beyond today's uncertainty. Do not build your expectations upon what yesterday looked like. Build them upon my unchanging faithfulness. The same God who carried you through every previous season is already preparing the next chapter of your story. So keep praying, keep believing, keep walking in obedience. Do not stop just before the breakthrough because the road has become difficult. Many turn back when they are closer than they realize, but you must not, my beloved child. The season of preparation is giving way to the season of revelation. Soon you will look back and understand why I asked you to trust me one more day, one more prayer, and one more step. The moment you have been waiting for is no longer far away. It is drawing near, and when it arrives, you will know beyond every doubt that my timing has always been perfect. My beloved child, one day you will look back on this season with eyes that see far more clearly than they do today. The questions that now weigh heavily upon your heart will no longer trouble you. The tears that once felt endless will become reminders of my faithfulness. The waiting that seems so difficult now will one day reveal itself as one of the greatest expressions of my love for you. You will understand that I was never delaying your blessing. I was preparing both the blessing and the person who would receive it. I was shaping your heart so that success would not lead you away from me. I was strengthening your faith so that when the storms returned, you would stand firm instead of falling in fear. I was teaching you to value my presence more than my gifts, because my presence will never leave you. There will come a day when you will see how every closed door protected you, how every unexpected detour redirected you, and how every painful season refined you. You will realize that what once appeared to be silence was filled with my unseen work. You will recognize that I was arranging people, opportunities, and moments with a wisdom far beyond anything you could have imagined. So do not lose heart now. Do not allow temporary disappointment to steal your eternal hope. Continue to trust me when the path is unclear. Continue to follow me when the answers have not yet arrived. Continue to believe that I am working, even when your eyes cannot yet see the evidence. My beloved, your story is not ending in this season of waiting. It is only being prepared for a greater chapter. The tears you have sown in faith will not be forgotten. The prayers you have whispered in the darkness have reached my heart. The hope you have fought to hold on to will not be put to shame. One day you will not thank me because the waiting was easy. You will thank me because you will finally see that every moment of waiting was leading you into the fullness of my perfect will. And when that day comes, your heart will declare with complete confidence that my timing was never late, it was always exactly right. Heavenly Father, thank you for never leaving us, even when we could not feel your presence. Thank you for every moment you protected us from dangers we never saw, for every closed door that became an act of your love, and for every season of waiting that was shaping us for your perfect purpose. Lord, today we choose to place our trust completely in you. Heal every wounded heart, calm every anxious mind, and replace every fear with the peace that only you can give. Strengthen our faith when the answers seem delayed, and help us remember that your timing is always wiser than our own. Teach us to walk by faith instead of by sight. Give us the courage to obey you even when we cannot see the entire path ahead. Fill our hearts with hope, renew our strength, and remind us each day that you are working behind the scenes for our good. Father, we surrender our past, our present, and our future into your loving hands. We believe that every promise you have spoken will come to pass at the perfect time. May our lives bring glory to your name, and may we never lose confidence in your unfailing love. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. My beloved friend, if you have stayed with this message until this very moment, I do not believe it was by accident. Perhaps God has been speaking to your heart in ways you did not expect. Perhaps he has been reminding you that your waiting has never been meaningless, your tears have never been ignored, and your future has never been uncertain in his hands. Today, I invite you to make a simple declaration of faith. Type these words in the comments. Lord, I trust your timing. I believe you are preparing something greater for me. Let those words become more than a comment. Let them become the promise you carry into every new day. Whenever doubt tries to return, remember the declaration you made before God today. If this message encouraged your heart, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may be struggling through a season of waiting. You never know how God may use your simple act of sharing to reach a heart that is desperate for hope. And as you leave today, remember this: God is already working in ways you cannot yet see. Keep praying, keep trusting, keep walking by faith. Your story is still unfolding, your breakthrough is drawing near, and the God who has carried you this far will never stop walking beside you. May the Lord bless you, strengthen you, fill your heart with his perfect peace, and remind you every single day that his promises never fail. We look forward to walking this journey of faith with you again in our next message. Until then, stay close to God and never stop believing that his perfect timing is always worth the wait.